Okay, good afternoon, all of you. Welcome to this another lecture of refrigeration and air conditioning. So today we are going to start section number 2, that is related to air conditioning part. But before going to the air conditioning part, we need to realize what is the psychrometry. Okay, what is the psychrometry? How to study it? That part we'll see later. But for time being, I have started one poll. So participate in that poll. So I hope you are able to participate it. On Zoom only, I have shared one poll. Are you able to participate? Abhinay, Vishal. So I have started one poll, Zoom only, and are you able to participate? Omkar Pawar, Yasser. Okay, yes, okay. So the question here it is atmosphere air contents. Okay, very basic question it is there. It is a multiple choice question, so you can select as many options as you think are correct. Okay, 3 people have participated, 4. Okay. So it is a multiple choice question. You can select as many options as you want. 4 people have participated. Yes. Others, please participate. So the poll is on the Zoom only, in this lecture only. You don't have to go anywhere. Previously, we used to take the help of another website, but now it is been incorporated in the Zoom only. So you can participate from the Zoom only. Okay. Right. 7 people have contributed. Yes. Others also participate in the poll. Very basic question I have asked here. Atmospheric air contents. So the first option is quite silly because the question itself it is atmospheric air contents. Obviously, it will contain air. So first option is obvious and it is actually a silly option. But what about others? Okay. So I hope you have participated in the poll now. Right. Okay, 8 people, and here participants are more. And why 17 participants? Out of that, only 9 people have contributed. Participate in the poll. So the results, I will close this poll now. Let us see. End the poll. Download results. Right. Okay. Share the results. So are you able to see the results? So like 40%. So most of the time, air, dust, water vapor, other gases, etc., etc. So the answer here it is all options are correct. So air contains dust also, it contains gases, it contains water vapor, it contains particles, it contains odor, etc., etc., etc. So up to this point, we have only studied air as a mixture of gases, oxygen, nitrogen, etc., etc. But in real world, you also know that not only gases, it is a mixture of dust particles, it is a mixture of water vapors, it is a mixture of many other things. So atmospheric air is just not present in only one phase. One phase means it is not only in fluid phase, it contains solid particles also. So it is in multiple phases we can observe in a atmospheric air. Okay. Now I'll stop sharing the poll. Okay. Right. So let me ask you another question here. Let us see how many of you know the percentage. Let us see how many of you are correct. Okay, so I will start 1 4. Okay, I'm creating a wait. Okay, another question I have put in the poll that also you can observe. So the question here it is related to air conditioning. It says what are the contributing factors if you want to feel comfortable. Okay, so there are many meanings for this. You can feel comfortable when you are lying on the couch. You can feel comfortable when you are with someone. You can feel comfortable when you are listening to the music. Okay, so many factors are there, but what I meant here it is you are sitting in a room and you want to feel comfortable thermally. Okay, in thermal sense of view you should feel comfortable. So I'm not listening referring to any music, any picture, or nothing else. Okay, what I meant is you want to feel comfortable thermally. So again, it is a MCQ type of question. You can select as many options as you want. Okay, 6 people have contributed. Others also contribute. So I know many of you are preparing for campus placement for Capgemini. I wish all the best for them, right? So that is why I'm not going directly to the chapter because it is very, very important chapter. This concept takes a lot of patience to understand. Okay, slowly, slowly I will go, right? Okay. So again, here in this question also, all the options are correct. You need minimum low temperature, right? Then second, you need good quality of air. Then you need right amount of humidity. Then you need right amount of speed, right? If temperature is low and humidity is very high, you won't feel comfortable. Or temperature is low, like in our case in Pandharpur, temperature is low, but humidity is very less. So our skin becomes dry. So that is again, it is not comfortable, right? Again, low temperature, very low temperature, it is not also very comfortable. Again, air speed, okay? Even though you have very good temperature, like let us say 25 degrees Celsius, humidity is also well, that is 50 degrees Celsius. But in this case, the air has very low movement, okay? तुम्हाला कधी असं वाटतं की फॅन चालू करावा, right? In that case, we are increasing the air speed. So air speed also plays very important role. Last but not the least, quality of air. Like as you can see, now is the season where Delhi is most polluted, right? So the farmers in Punjab, they are burning their remains of the crop, and that air comes from that side. Delhi's air becomes polluted. It crosses the hazardous level for air quality. So what is happening in this case? Even if you maintain temperature, humidity, airspeed at very comfortable level, quality of air plays very important role, right? So even I'm sitting in this room, I start the AC, I feel comfortable, but after some time, my socks, right? So my socks they give some kind of smell. It is unbearable, right? I cannot stand that smell. So again, quality of air plays very important role. Again, in this room, I started the AC. I feel comfortable. After some time, someone puts the exhaust of an engine in my room. Okay, सगळा धूर my room आहे सोडला. In that case, also I will not feel comfortable because quality of air reduces. Okay, so I hope I'm making you understand. So I'm actually giving you idea about air conditioning. The whole this second chapter is related to air conditioning subject, right? So those who want to do or pursue career in core industries, so this is one of those like HVAC industries there. You can pursue as a career of HVAC engineer. Nowadays there is concept of, or it has been long time, MEP is there, mechanical, electrical and plumbing. So if you become mechanical engineer, not only you can design the mechanical part, that is HVAC part, you can also go for plumbing also. So now in our rural area or district level in our area, there are no professionals for plumbing. Generally, we give this task to the plumber. Plumber decide the head required for the pump, and they suggest us to buy the pump, and then we buy the pump. Now, in major cities where big malls are there, commercial buildings are there, G plus 20. So that kind of big buildings are there. In that case, they need professional plumbers. In that case, you have to design the whole plumbing system. So again, that plumbing course is there. If you want to design a air conditioning system, again that course is there. HVAC course is there. So many opportunities are there in our case. Mostly, what happens nowadays? There is very boom or wave of CS and IT. So people are moving in that side. So no problem. But this thing still will be there. Air conditioning will be required, and it is very growing industry nowadays. Refrigerants, refrigeration or air conditioning, it is a growing industry. The demand is growing. So that is why I'm for giving very much emphasis on this subject, right? Again, in next semester, your next semester is you have to go for the internship. That also through ASHRAE we can arrange internship programs. You will get a real life or in industry experience, right? So those who students who are interested now present here and their friends, those who are interested to do job or do the internship, in that case, they can approach me. We can try for. Okay. All right. Now I'll share the results also. You can look at it. Okay, I hope you have seen your results. I will stop. Right. Okay, so we have seen the contributing factors. We have seen the basics, right, of the air conditioning. That, like I have asked, actually I have taken a poll of it. So let us start our chapter. That is psychrometry, right? Okay. So I hope I'm no. I'll share the screen. Then only you can see. Okay. Okay. I hope that screen is visible. So the chapter number 4 here, it is psychrometry, psychrometric properties. What are the psychrometric processes? How to solve those numericals related to psychrometry, that we'll see. A very important topic. All upcoming chapters, chapter number 5 and chapter number 6, they both are dependent on this chapter number 5. So if you understand chapter number 5, then only you can understand chapter number 6, that is heat and load calculations, heating and cooling load calculations, and 7th chapter, air terminal devices. So that will be understood only if you understood the psychrometry concept. Okay. So it takes a great deal amount of patience to understand psychrometry. So give your utmost attention. Those who are missing today's class, again I will repeat in next class. So don't worry. Or those who do not understand that, for them also I will repeat in the next class. Right? Contain moist air as working systems. And psychrometric properties of air, use of psychrometric tables, charts, processes, combinations, and calculations, ADP, apparatus dew point, coil condition line, etc., etc. Sensible heat factor, bypass factor, air washer and its applications. Okay. Right. Now, what I have taken in poll number 1, so it was related to mixture of gases. So what is the air in that case? Okay. So psychrometry, the name psychrometry is given to the study of properties of air, water, vapor mixture. So it is a study of moist air. Psychrometry is the study of moist air. Generally, if you see atmospheric air, it is a combination of mixture of gases like nitrogen, oxygen, argon, hydrogen. Water vapor is there because of evaporation taking place from the oceans, rivers, etc. We have water vapor in the atmosphere. Then we have dust particles, films, etc. Right? All those small solid particles which are suspended in the air, that also will be counted. But in this case, only these two parts, mixture of gases plus water vapor. So that is termed as moist air. And psychrometry is the study of moist air. In that case, we are not considering dust particles, fumes, etc. Okay. The atmospheric air is a mixture of many gases plus water vapor and a number of pollutants. The concentration of water vapor and the pollutants decrease with altitude. Okay. So see, this is the Earth surface. So if this is a surface where we are living, then as we move in upward direction, as the altitude increases, obviously because of density, solid particles will be available in certain layer. After the certain layer, because of their weight or the density, they cannot go in upward layer. So some layer separate the solid particle. Now above that layer, we have air plus water particles. Again, up to certain level or altitude, we can have water vapors. Then again, because of their density, they cannot move upward. Now again, after some altitude, we have only air. So that like that way, there are some spheres are there. We call it as a stratosphere, troposphere. Up to 10 kilometers, we have troposphere. After that, we have stratosphere, etc., etc. So concentration of water vapor and pollutants decrease with altitude. And above an altitude of 10 kilometers, that is above troposphere. Atmosphere air contains only dry air. So up to 10 kilometers, that is up to troposphere only, you can have water particles or dust particles, etc., etc. Above troposphere, you can have only dry air. So psychrometry is the study of moist air. You can have mixture of gases, that is what we generally call it as air, and plus water vapors. So moist air, the moist air can be thought as a mixture of dry air and moisture. So dry air means mixture of gases. Which gases? So that you already have been studying from your high school: oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, argon, etc., etc. And so that we term as a dry air. Why dry air? Because it does not contain water particles or water vapors. Dry air plus water particles, that will be moist air. Okay. So just a minute. Okay. So here are some pigeons are creating disturbance. Anyway. So in 1949, a standard composition of dry air was fixed by the International Joint Committee on Psychrometric Data. So in 1949, it was decided what will the composition of dry air, etc. So constituents of dry air are here: oxygen. So these are the major constituents. Again, there will be other gases. So oxygen, nitrogen, argon, carbon dioxide. So we know the molecular formula for oxygen, that is 32. For nitrogen, it is 28. For carbon dioxide, it is 44. And for argon, it is 40. What is the mole fraction, right? So that also we have studied: oxygen 20% and nitrogen 78%. So that we know here. Remaining 1% will contain other gases. So in that also 0.0033%. Here it will be carbon dioxide, and again in this case argon will be this much. Okay. So this we already know. So this is the composition of dry air. So based on above composition, the molecular weight of dry air is found to be 28.96. Okay, so this is very important here. Note down this formula. The molecular weight of dry air is 28.96. and gas constant is R. So R that we know many times we are used, mostly we use in ideal gas equation, PV is equal to MRT. So that gas constant for air it is 287 joule per kilo Kelvin. Okay. Okay. So that was related to dry air. Next, we'll see what is the saturated air. So saturated air means that dry air has some capacity to hold the water vapors. Now, at certain times, when the water vapor becomes exceed, it reaches to a saturation level. Saturation level means after that, water particles will start condensating. Right. So this is a phenomena generally observed in the rainy season or at the starting of the winter. We see dews are being formed on the leaves, or we see fog air. So in that case, what is happening? Air has exceeded its capacity to hold the water vapors. So in that case, water vapors becomes visible, right? A fog is created in that case. So at a given temperature and pressure, the dry air can only hold a certain maximum amount of moisture. So it has some capacity. Now, how to determine that capacity? That capacity depends on the partial pressures. So what is partial pressure? What is the law of partial pressure? That we'll see in upcoming slides. Okay. So remember, after this point, air at certain pressure has some capacity to hold water vapors. As the pressure decreases, increases, that capacity also decreases, increases. Again, as the water particles exceed that capacity, in that case, they start condensating. So that condensation is generally what we call as dew formation. Now, when the moisture content is maximum, then the air is known as saturated air, which is established by a neutral equilibrium between moist air and the liquid or solid phases of water. So that means air has reached equilibrium with water vapor. For calculation purposes, the molecular weight of water vapor is taken as 18. So we know that molecular weight of water is 18 and its gas constant is 461.52. Okay. So up to this point, we have seen moist air, then we have seen composition of dry air, then we have seen the concept of saturated air. Now, how to decide what is the maximum capacity of holding the water vapors? So that depends on the partial pressures. Okay. So what is the concept of partial pressure? We'll see, and then we can stop. So there is a law, Dalton's law of partial pressure. Okay. So this you might have already studied. Again, we'll study today. Dalton's law of partial pressure. Partial pressure means, suppose this is the air. So we are dealing with now what? Moist air. So from this point onward, up to the syllabus completion, we are dealing with only moist air. Now, moist air, as I told you, it is a combination of dry gases or the dry air and water vapors. So in that case, if you see the whole pressure of atmosphere, if you see pressure of atmosphere, it is a summation of partial pressure of dry air plus partial pressure of water vapor. So partial pressure means the individual pressure exerted by that gas, that will be the partial pressure. If we take summation of all this, we'll get a total pressure. Okay. So both dry air and water vapor in air generally follows the ideal gas law. So the total pressure, that is P, is equal to PA. So PA is partial pressure of dry air plus PW, that is partial pressure of water vapor, as per Dalton's law of partial pressure. Here, both PA and PW are partial pressures. So here the diagram is also given. So this is the atmosphere. Atmosphere contains dry air plus water vapors. They have their individual pressures, or what we call it as partial pressures. If you take the summation of partial pressure, you will get a total pressure. So it is as simple as it is. Take the summation, you will get a total pressure. Right now, but these partial pressures, so whatever the difference between these partial pressures, so that will determine the weather condition. So what we see weather condition now, today's rainy season, then comes the summer, then comes the winter. So like that way we have summer, rainy season, winter. So how that is been created? The whole that concept lies in this partial pressures. Okay. Obviously, there are other factors. Other major factor for the weather, it is the pressure created in the ocean. So because of that pressure drop, then the winds are created. So winds flow from high pressure to low pressure. Because of winds, again that weather condition changes. But what I'm talking here, it is about the water particles in the air. Now, how it is decided? It depends on the partial pressures. Right. The larger the difference between these two, there is a more capacity to absorb the water vapors. And the smaller the difference between the partial pressures, then there is a less capacity to behold the water particles. So when you see rain at that time, there is very less difference between partial pressures. So it has exceeded its capacity to hold the water particles. As it no longer can hold water particles, so we get a rain. Okay, I hope I'm making it clear to you. It depends on the difference in partial pressures of air and water particles. Okay. So as the time comes, I will explain more. Now we'll see some of the psychrometric properties. First property of the psychrometry here, it is temperature. So we have been studying temperature almost for a decade now. For you, I'm studying this for almost 2 decades. In this case, temperatures, what we mean here it is, there are 3 temperatures, right? Whatever temperature you have studied up to this point of engineering, that is called as dry bulb temperature. Why it is dry bulb temperature? It is referred to dry air. Okay. So we have a thermometer, we are putting in the atmosphere, we are measuring the temperature. So that is the temperature of dry air. So it means it is a temperature of dry air. So we have given the term it as a dry bulb temperature. Or in other case, in that case, that instrument, thermometer, it is as it is. We are not tampering it with any other accessories. Whatever temperature we are getting there, it is a dry bulb temperature. Now then there is another scenario in which we are covering the thermometer, the bottom of the thermometer where the mercury lies. We are covering that part with a wet cloth. After that, due to the evaporation of water, temperature drops, and that reduced temperature is considered as wet bulb temperature. So those who do not understood, I'll explain again with the help of a diagram here. So there is an instrument called sling cytometer, in which we have dry bulb temperature thermometer, we have wet bulb thermometer. In dry bulb, we are recording the temperature as it is. Again, in wet bulb, what we are doing, the bottom part where the mercury lies, we are the bottom part of where the mercury lies, we are covering it with a wet cloth. So because of wet cloth, there are some water particles, and then we are moving this instrument. Why we are rotating the instrument? We are removing the extra water particles. It is as same as washing the clothes. So म्हणजे आपण घरी ज्यावेळेस कपडे धुतो त्यावेळेस काय आपण करतो, एक्सेसिव्ह वॉटर काढतो पिळून, पिळल्यानंतर त्यातलं एक्सेसिव्ह वॉटर निघतं, बरोबर? So like that way also here we are rotating the instrument, and the excessive water content in the wet cloth, it is being removed. Now because of evaporation of water, the temperature drops. Okay, evaporation of water creates a stream of mass transfer. With mass transfer, enthalpy transfer also takes place, and the heat is reduced. With heat reduced, we get a reduced temperature. So here, if you are getting 35 degrees Celsius in dry bulb temperature, here due to evaporation, you may get 32 degrees Celsius. So in that case, our DBT or dry bulb temperature will be 35, and WBT, that is the wet bulb temperature, will be 30. So I will explain again. Okay, this is very important concept here. We have a thermometer. We are measuring the temperature. Whatever temperature we get, that is called as dry bulb temperature. Why dry bulb? We are not covering it with any wet cloth. So that thermometer is dry. In second case, we are covering the bottom of the thermometer with a wet cloth. We are rotating the instrument. In case we are like removing the extra water content, Then because of evaporation of water, there is a mass transfer. With mass transfer, there is a enthalpy transfer, that is the heat is being transferred. With heat transfer, temperature reduces, then we get a reduction in temperature. So here if you are getting 35, here you may get 32 or 30 depending on the partial pressures of air and water. So again, this difference depends on the partial pressures of the air and water. So this was the old age. This is the new age. You can measure it with the help of a digital psychrometer. Here it will give you DBT, WBT, also dew point temperature. Now, what is the dew point temperature? We'll see. So dew point temperature. So we have seen dry bulb. So wet bulb, WBT is the temperature obtained by an accurate thermometer having a weak moisture with distilled water. So that is the instrument called psychrometer. Now next is dew point temperature. So DPT is the temperature at which liquid droplets just appear when the moist air is cooled continuously. So we have moist air, that is a mixture of air and water particles. We are cooling it. Now at some point, air will become saturated. After that, after saturation, if we reduce the temperature, in that case, water particles condenses. Now that process, condensation starts, dews are formed. Okay. आपण ज्याला मराठीत म्हणतो की दव तयार होतात, right? So in English we have dew. When the dew starts forming, we are calling that temperature dew point temperature. So the temperature at which the dews are formed is generally or very commonly called as dew point temperature. Okay. In other words, it is also temperature related to saturation, or it is a saturation temperature. So DPT is the temperature at which the liquid droplets just appear when the moisture is cooled continuously. The equipment used for measuring the dry bulb temperature and the wet bulb temperature simultaneously is also known as psychrometer. So with the help of a digital psychrometer, you can measure all these temperatures, right? Once again, I will repeat. DBT, dry bulb temperature, is the temperature measured by a common thermometer. WBT, wet bulb temperature, is the temperature measured by thermometer when its bottom is covered with wet cloth. DPT, dew point temperature, is the temperature when the dews of water start forming, right? So I hope you understood the temperature part of the psychrometry. It is one of those properties. Then there are other properties like humidity is there. Then we have humidity ratio is there. Then we have specific volume is there. Then we have relative humidity. Then we have etc. enthalpy of moist air. So various psychrometric properties are there, but the most important property here it is temperature. Okay. Okay, so I hope you understood the temperature part. Now comes the saturated vapor pressure, or what we call it as a PSAT, right? We'll see one by one. So it is a saturated partial pressure of water vapor at the dry bulb temperature, right? So the partial pressure of water vapor where it becomes saturated, that we call it as a saturated vapor pressure, right? So already I have explained you this concept of partial pressure. Here, if this is air, this is water vapor, they have their individual partial pressures. Now, the partial pressure of water vapor, the value of partial pressure of water vapor, where it becomes saturated with the dry air, that value we are referring it as a saturated vapor pressure. So at that condition, the air becomes saturated, right? So water, there are some tables of partial vapors, right? This is the temperature, then this is the partial vapor pressure of water. Then with the temperature drops, the partial pressure also drops. Then comes the saturation criteria. Air becomes saturated. You cool the air below the saturation, then the dews gets formed, right? Or the condensation of the water particles takes place. Condensation is not very, we cannot say condensation directly because it has very different meanings for different applications. In this case, we'll say dews gets formed, right? So there is a moist air, right? Then there is some difference between their partial pressures. we are reducing the temperature of air, right? At some point, what happens? It becomes saturated. If you cool the air below its saturation conditions, dews gets formed, and that temperature we are referring it as a dew point temperature, right? So the saturation condition, we are talking about saturation condition. That means dry air has reached its maximum ability to behold the water particles. Now it cannot no longer, म्हणजे ह्याच्यापेक्षा जास्त आता ते वॉटर पार्टिकल बिहोल्ड करू शकत नाही. आपण कधी कधी त्याला म्हणतो की ढग आलेत किंवा वातावरण असं ढगाळ वाटत आहे. So what it means in technical terms is air has become saturated. Now it no longer can behold the water particles, and there are chances of rain or there are chances of fog. Okay, आपण म्हणतो ढगाळ वातावरण झालंय, आता पाऊस पडू शकतो. So it all depends on partial pressures, temperatures, etc., etc. And this the value of saturated vapor pressure is fixed, okay, for different pressure temperatures. So this is readily available in thermodynamic tables and charts. ASHRAE suggests the following regression equation for saturated vapor pressure of water, which is valid for 0 to 100 degrees Celsius. So this is just the equation is there, regression equation is there. How do they get the regression equation? Very simple. They conduct some experiments. They calculate the saturation pressure, and then they try to link variables with the output, and that way they get the regression equation. So those who have studied the data science or who are interested in studying the data science, they will come across such regression equations, right? You will be given variables and their output. Then there comes a step in data science where you have to go for the regression equation. Once you get the regression equation, after that you can predict future, right? So there are some programs for forecastination, etc., etc. In that case, once you know the regression equation, for any value you can calculate the output value. Okay. So where Psat is the saturated vapor pressure of water in kilopascals and temperature is in Kelvin. Okay. The recursion coefficients C1 to 6C that are also calculated are given as this, right? So this is a table, right? So in this case, as you can see, for every temperature, the saturation or value of the water vapor is given, right? So if you are considering now that, let us say temperature now is 32 degrees Celsius or 29 degrees Celsius. In 29 degrees Celsius, the saturation pressure or the partial pressure of water to become saturated, that should be 41. So once again, I will repeat. We are at this temperature 29 degrees Celsius. At this case, if you want to saturate the air, so the partial pressure of water vapor should be 41 millibar. So these are values are in millibar, 10 to power minus 3 bar millibar. Okay. So if you again increase the, so suppose the temperature of air increases to 32 degrees Celsius, again the partial pressure of water vapor required to be saturated increases to 48, from 48 to 48. Okay. So this way these things work, right? Now if you decrease the temperature, let us say you go down to the 10 degrees Celsius, in that case the partial pressure of water vapor in order to become saturated, that should be 12.3 millibar. Okay, so at this time maybe partial pressure of water is 15 millibar. In order to become saturated, it has to go down to 12.3 millibar. Okay, so such way these tables are given. Now next graph here I have obtained from the Engineering Toolbox website. So it is related to air saturation vapor pressure. Okay, so this is a saturation vapor pressure versus temperature. How they have obtained this graph? From this table. So you put these values in Excel, you can also obtain such kind of graph. Okay, so as you can see, as the temperature of the air increases or atmosphere increases, the saturation vapor pressure also increases. Okay, what it means that at higher pressure there are very less chances for saturation. म्हणून आपण असं म्हणतो की कधी कधी उन्हाळ्यात आपल्याला पाऊस पडत नाही. आता उन्हाळ्यात पाऊस का पडत नाही? The answer lies here. Why there is very less rain in summer? Because as the temperature rises, the saturation vapor pressure also rises. So there are very less chances to become saturated. The more the the less the saturation vapor pressure is, the more are the chances for rain. So it all depends on the partial pressures. The more the saturation pressure is, less the chances for rain or less the chances for fog, and lesser the saturation vapor pressure is, there are higher chances for rain or higher chances for fog. Okay, so I hope you are understanding the concept of partial pressures. If any doubt is there, please ask. So I think this is sufficient for today's lecture because the strength is also low, and this is a very important concept. I don't want to skip it. Right. So I will recap whatever we have learned up to this point, then we can close. Right. So we started with the psychrometry. Psychrometry is the study of moist air. Again, this is one MCQ which was asked previously, and many people, as they have very less tendency to give attention to the details, they could not answer it in the external oral examination. So simply, what is the psychrometry, right? Psychrometry is the study of moist air. What is the moist air? Moist air is the combination or the mixture of dry air and water vapors, right? Now we have seen the saturated air condition. What is the saturated condition? It is a condition at which the air has reached its maximum capacity to hold water vapors. Then we have Dalton's law of partial pressure. Okay. Then we have seen the psychrometric property. The first psychrometric property we have seen, that is the temperature. In that we have seen there are three temperature values we have to deal with. First is DBT, dry bulb temperature. Second is WBT, wet bulb temperature. Third is dew point temperature or DPT. So there are instruments. Previously they used to use sling psychrometer. Nowadays they use the digital psychrometer. So remember this word, psychrometer. This is again another MCQ is there. The instrument used for the measurement of WBT. So you should know that is a psychrometer. Then we have seen the saturated vapor pressure. So it is a partial pressure of water vapor required for saturated conditions, right? In order to become the weather or the air to be saturated, this is the partial pressure of water required. Then there is this table is there. So we have seen as the temperature of air or the atmosphere increases, the saturated vapor pressure also increases. Now as this increases, there are very less chances of rain or fog formation. As the temperature reduces, saturated vapor condition is reduced, and there are higher chances for the rain or the fog. In next lecture, we will see other psychrometric properties. So like there is a relative humidity is there, then there is a humidity ratio is there, then there is enthalpy is there, then there is a specific volume is there. So etc. etc. Many psychrometric properties are there that we'll see one by one. Okay. Again, I wish you all the best. Those who are preparing for the Capgemini, right? Okay. And those who are interested to do the internship, anyway, you have to do compulsory in next sem. In that case, also, please approach me. We will try to get internship in very good companies like Blue Star is there, Johnson Controls is there, Carrier is there, Hitachi is there. So many companies are there in this field of refrigeration air conditioning. So we will try to get internship from such MNCs also. Okay. So those who are interested, they can approach me. Also, you can tell your friends also. You can form group. In group also, we can apply. Okay. So put your roll numbers in the chat box, and then we can close. So many companies are coming. Do participate in campus activities. Don't make any kind of the market. Hatta daru naga. Yeah, I want core companies only. So participate in as much companies as you can. Get job, and then you can say such thing that, sir, I don't want to work in IT. I want to go for core, etc., etc. But don't start with that. Participate in every activity. Okay. So with this, we'll stop today. Thank you for attending.